Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of solving two-step equations. We talked about one-step equations last time, so today we're going to be talking about two-step equations. Make sure to follow along with your notes and ask me if you have any questions. Alright, so when solving two-step equations, your goal is still to isolate variables. That means get by itself. Isolate the variable. Remember, the variable is a letter that represents a number. So, basically what you're going to do is you're going to begin on the side of the variable. And then two, you're going to use inverse operations in the backwards order of operations. So people have different ways of doing this. This is the way that I have found to be simplest to kind of explain. Alright, so it's going to be SADMEP instead of PEMDAS. Alright, so PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. SADMEP just stands for subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, exponents, parentheses. So you're going to go through that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so here we go. Let's do the first example. So our first step here is going to be to identify the middle of an equation. So the first example says negative 3x minus 5 equals 19. So where's my middle? That's my equal sign. Okay? Now the second thing that I want to think about is what my variable is. So if it's a letter that represents a number, in this case my variable is x. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Alright, so now what I also say in these notes is that I'm trying to, what I'm going to do is begin on the side of the variable. So begin on the side of the variable, that means this negative 3x minus 5 part. Now I'm going to read out loud what this actually says. It says negative 3 multiplied by x, right? When a number is right next to it, that means multiplication, subtract 5. Negative 3 multiply x, subtract 5. Now I'm going to go through SADMEP and just ask myself the following question. Do I see subtraction? I see subtract 5. So yes, I do see subtraction. And I'm going to go ahead and use the inverse operation of subtraction. Inverse operation of subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 5. Now I just created an imbalance. So I needed to add 5 on the other side of the equation. So here I'm left with a 0 pair. So now I've got negative 3 multiplied by x equals 24. Now I want to use inverse operations again because I still don't have the equal sign, or I still don't have the variable isolated. So I see negative 3 multiplied by x. So instead of multiplication, I'm going to use division. I'm going to divide negative 3, divide negative 3. So what I've just done is create a 1 pair. Now I'm left with x is equal to negative 8. Alright? Okay, let's do example 2. I'm going to follow the same process here. Again, I want to find my middle. That's my equal sign. Alright? I want to find my variable. In this case, it's y. I'm going to read the problem. It says 8 equals y divided by 9, add 5. Alright? So again, based on my process, I'm going to start on the side of the variable. Side of the variable is y divided by 9 plus 5. Now I'm going to use the reverse order of operations. So I'm going to go through SADMEP. I'm going to ask myself, do I see subtraction? No. Do I see addition? Yeah, it says add 5. So instead of adding 5, I'm going to subtract 5. Now I just subtracted 5 on one side of the equation, so I need to subtract 5 on the other side of the equation. So let me write down what I've got now. 8 subtract 5, that gives me 3 equals y divided by 9. Now 5 minus 5, that creates a 0 pair. Oh, that's convenient. Now I just have a one-step equation. So I'm going to bring down my equal sign, and again, start on the side of the variable. Now, all I see is y divided by 9. So I'm going to keep going through SADMAP. I did subtraction, I did addition. Now let me look at division. Do I see division? Yes. So I'm going to use the inverse operation of division, which is multiplication. I'm going to multiply 9, and if I multiply 9 on one side, I have to do it to the other side. So I'm left with 27 equals y, because I just created a 1, 9 divided by 9. Okay? Alright, so those were the first two examples. We got 4 more to go. Go ahead and follow along with me. I'm going to keep thinking a lot out loud. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Alright? Here are examples 3 and 4. Example 3 says negative 12 equals 6 plus 9x. I'm going to find my middle. That's the equal sign. I'm going to find my variable. That's my x. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, I'm going to start on the side of the variable. So that's 6 add 9 multiplied by x. I'm going to go through SADMAP and ask myself what I see. Do I see subtraction? No. Do I see addition? Yes. So I need to use the inverse of addition to start isolating the variable. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. All right. This says 6 add 9 multiplied by x. So it's actually not the 9 that I'm going to subtract, because that's being multiplied. I'm actually going to subtract this 6, right? So now that I did that, I'm going to subtract 6 on the other side, which leaves me with negative 18 equals, this is a 0, 9 multiplied by x. Again, I've brought it down to a one-step equation. So now I see, do I see division? No. Do I see multiplication? Yes. So I'm going to use the inverse of multiplication here, which is division. I'm going to divide 9. I need to divide 9 on both sides. So now I'm left with negative 2 is equal to 1x. Remember, 1x is the same as x. So that's why when I create a 1x, I can just leave it as x. Alright, let's move on to example 4. Example 4 says m subtract 3 all divided by 2 equals 6. Now, when we usually see this, some people might want to say, oh, well, I see subtraction, so I'm going to start adding 3. That's incorrect. You want to make sure to do something before you start doing this problem. When you have the division line under everything, that means that both the numerator is in parentheses and the denominator. But in this case, it's just a number, so we actually don't have to put the parentheses for the 2. Alright? But we are going to put m subtract 3 in parentheses. This is going to help us because once we go through SADMAP on this problem, it's actually going to be the last, this m subtract 3 is actually going to be the last thing that we do. Okay, so let's find our middle, that's the equal sign. Let's find our variable, that's m. And let's start going through this problem. Do I see subtraction that's outside of the parentheses? No. Do I see addition outside of the parentheses? No. Do I see division? Yes. So I'm going to use the inverse of division, which is multiplication. And what's the thing being divided? The 2. So I'm going to multiply 2 on both sides of the equation. This creates a 1. So now I'm left with m subtract 3 equals 12. Another one-step equation. So now I got the equal sign. So now I ask myself, start over, because now I'm in parentheses, right? I took away my parentheses right here, and I'm just m subtract 3. So I start over. Do I see subtraction? Yes. So I use the inverse operation, which is addition. I add 3. I add 3. I'm left with m. erase this. I'm left with m equals 15. And that is my final answer. All right, 2 more examples and then we will be done. Example 5 and example 6. If you'd like to pause here and actually try it on your own, feel free to do that. Okay? So, example 5 says negative 5 multiplied by x subtract 3 equals negative 13. I'm going to find my middle, that's my equal sign. I'm going to find my variable, that's my x. I'm going to start going through SADMAT. Okay, so on the side of the variable, negative 5x, negative 5 multiplied by x, subtract 3. I ask myself, do I see subtraction? Immediately, yes. So I'm going to add whatever is being subtracted, which is the 3. I've created an imbalance, so I need to add 3 on the other side of the equation. So now I've got negative 5 multiplied by x, because this makes a 0 pair, equals negative 10. Find my middle again, and I keep going. Do I see addition? No. Do I see division? No. Do I see multiplication? Yes. I need to use the inverse, which is division. So I'm going to divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5, and I'm left with 1x equals positive 2. That's my final answer. And here is the last example. It says negative 1 equals m divided by 4 subtract 7. Now be careful here, this one does not involve parentheses. So you're just going to go through SADMAT as usual. If this line extended, then m minus 7 would be in parentheses. But that is not the case. Okay? So I'm going to find my middle, that's the equal sign. I'm going to find my variable, that's m. Okay, I'm going to start on the side of the variable, which is m divide 4, subtract 7. So, I'm going to go through SADMAT. Do I see subtraction? Yeah. So it says subtract 7. Instead, I'm going to add 7 to create a 0 pair. But I need to add 7 on this side to be able to keep things balanced. So now I've got positive 6 equals m divided by 4. I still haven't isolated the variable, so I keep going. Do I see addition? No. Do I see division? Yes. Okay. So since I see division, I'm going to use the inverse operation, which is multiplication. Multiply 4, multiply 4. So that leaves me with m on this side and 24 on the left side. So if you can't see that, it's 24 equals m. Okay. Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to come in for tutoring or ask me or email me questions.